I'm Sarah Crookall with Castanet News, and welcome to our Meet the Candidates series for the Boundary-Similkameen riding. I'm here virtually with independent candidate Sean Taylor. Thanks for joining me, Sean.
Thanks for having me, Sarah.
Of course. So, why don't we start off with give me a 15-second just information introduction on who is Sean Taylor.
For the last 25 years, I've been a paramedic, a firefighter, an emergency nurse, and I spent 2 decades in the Canadian Armed Forces as a reservist. I got involved politically in 2018, and I ran in this area as a PPC candidate in the last two federal elections, and was asked to get involved provincially. And here I am as an independent candidate.
Wonderful. So following up on that, what would you say you think is the number one issue for people in this riding?
Um, In one word, I guess if I had a platform as an independent, you don't really have a platform. But in one word, it would be devolution. The erosion of personal sovereignty that we've seen over the last few years, I think, is alarming, and I think we should start immediately rolling the things back that have been put forth in the last few years.
Okay, and just a quick follow-up on that, 15 seconds. What would you do to address that?
I think Bill 36, the new Health Professions Act, is insane, and we need to repeal that right away. The Emergency Measures Act that they've rolled out, I think, is a stunning example of the government overreach that we're seeing in most areas today.
Okay. And so Boundary-Similkameen is sort of like two ridings in one, if not more, as the name suggests. How will you address the needs of all constituents here?
Again, I'm a small government guy. We have a diverse variety of communities here. There's different needs. When you look at what's going on, um, like in the Soyuz area with the BC tree fruits fiasco, out here in Grand Forks with the water issues, forest mismanagement of fire risk. There's a lot of issues, and as I travel and get to know people throughout the riding, I'm becoming more aware of the concerns. Everyone has their own little issue, right? Like I get emails about what about the zebra mussels and what about this? Like there's 10 million different issues on everyone's plate. But for me, the focus is highlighting the government overreach that's been coming out of the legislature in Victoria over the last few years, rolling that back, and capacity building within the communities. Right. I think we have to take a more active role in our own management, and yeah, the message seems to be well received.
Okay. So farmers, like you mentioned just recently, in Soyuz, have been hit hard, sort of all over this region. What is your plan to ensure that the agricultural sector is taken care of as we face, some instability in the weather that we're seeing and the crops that are suffering as a result?
Government tends to do a poor job on most things. The more involvement they have, the meddling, the incredible cost of doing business in this province, and you see this with people fleeing our jurisdiction because the affordability issues and the restraints on being able to conduct business here. I think supporting farmers and getting out of the way and letting them work is a priority. We see issues within food production all over the Western world right now, and I think it's something that we need to address, given how we produce far less food in British Columbia than we consume in British Columbia, and having food security is, I think, a major issue that we need to address.
Okay, thanks. And Many people, another topic that's on their minds is the healthcare system, and some are not feeling taken care of or left out by the healthcare system, whether that is due to a lack of doctors or increasing emergency room closures. What is your plan to address that one?
First and foremost, repeal Bill 36. You look at the consolidation of power that's occurred within healthcare, disbanding the amalgamation of the governing colleges within healthcare, eliminating all elected members and having strictly government appointees. Um, it's insane. What we've witnessed in healthcare over the last several years is criminal. Um, the amount of British Columbians that this has harmed or killed is something that's really not talked about. And we have all these euphemisms and we talk about things. You know, the the short answer is people can't get access to healthcare. You look at what they did with the mandates, thousands of healthcare workers across the province were fired. They're closing surgical programs, they're closing emergencies, they're closing hospitals, and everyone's scratching their head as to why this has happened. And Bonnie Henry announced that the emergency is now over, heading into the election, and we're allowing these healthcare workers to come back. Well, the mandates just kind of changed, right? Because with this new Health Professions Act, they've said that they can dictate mandatory vaccinations for healthcare workers in order to be registered in the province. So they've just kind of, wiggled around the mandates that were originally put out, and this is disincentivizing people from coming here to work. Like I know several healthcare workers that have moved to either the United States, Alberta, to not have to work in this province, and it's hurting British Columbians. The it's alarming, and the lack of discussion, open discussion about what's actually happening within our healthcare system is yeah, it's troubling.
hmm So, some tougher questions coming your way. Regarding what you've mentioned about small governments, and as an independent candidate, how would you expect to get the funding necessary to do some of these big moves across different issues like healthcare or farming?
Again, this government's an accretion machine, right? As it moves along, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you look at this apparatus that we have right now, and I want to unwind that. I think that the government competing with private sector is pointless. I think that being able to cut the size of government will reduce the cost of living in this country or in this province, and you get more bang for your buck in the private sector. With yeah, I lost the train there. Carry on. What's the next question?
Of course. So again, another hard question. Regarding your independent candidacy, how would you get the backing to repeal some of these bills that you're looking to repeal?
Well, looking as with the Conservative Party and the NDP neck and neck in the polls, electing an independent right now is actually advantageous to your riding, because a few independents getting in could actually be the balance of power in the province, giving your riding more leverage when it comes to negotiations with issues involving your riding. Um, as far as how I would operate, I'm more aligned with the conservative platform for sure. I think there's problems within the Conservative Party, but I would find myself more aligned with their policies and would be working with them. I will work with anyone who is working towards the betterment of British Columbia and the Boundary-Similkameen.
Okay, that actually ties in well with my final question here. We may or may not end up with a majority government after this election. If you're elected, what is one local issue you would be willing to support another party on?
Toward another party on. Well, again, back to healthcare. The Conservative Party. I know John, and I know he supports the repeal of Bill 36, and I think that's something that we should see immediately. And I would support him 100% on that.
Okay, perfect. So just a 15-second sort of outro. Do you have any concluding remarks that you would like voters to know?
You know, you look at what's going on here. We live in a jurisdiction where cocaine is legal, but raw milk will land you in jail, right? We have a public education system that's um, introducing gender confusion and corrosive ideologies. We have a healthcare system that's failing British Columbians, and I think it's time we ask ourselves, are we going to ask the same people who created these problems to fix them, or are we going to start to look for new solutions and new people? Um, I don't think it's a coincidence that we see more independents running in this election than in any other in in recent history, anyways. Um, I think people are starting to wake up to the fact that they need to start looking for different people and better solutions.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us, Sean. And to our viewers, you can click on Castanet for more candidate interviews leading up to the provincial election on October 19th. For Castanet News, I'm Sarah Krikal.